Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And today we are going to discuss a very important aspect of work, that is work-life balance. Lately this topic has also been a lot of news because of Narendra Modi's statements and statement given by Subramaniam sir in where he mentioned that people should be working around 90 hours a week, which is obviously not going to be easy. So what do I think about these things, and what have I experienced in my actual journey of work? So I started working in Infosys only, and it was pretty common there for freshers to work late hours. So I used to work, I remember I used to take the bus, the 8 o'clock bus in the morning, and I used to take the last cab back to home, okay, so which was around 12:30 in the morning. So it was around, you can say, 16 hours of work a day, and sometimes it also used to extend to Saturdays. So what happens when we are working such late hours, right? So one of the things that I remember is, you can, in the beginning you are very excited because you are learning new things, and particularly as a fresher, right? And since your skill level is pretty low as a fresher, you often take more hours to complete the same thing, which you wouldn't be taking if you had some more experience on those technologies or on those design patterns and all those, basically the information about the software development. So as a fresher, naturally we extend long hours. And also the thing is, when we are working as a fresher, right, we don't have too many responsibilities. We don't have, most of us were not married, no wife, no kids. So it was very easy to kind of work late hours, and we also have a lot of energy during those years. But still, that point being kept aside, what I remember is there used to be times where we used to develop a lot of passive aggression, wherein we used to think, I mean, at least I used to think, like this weekends, right, if we were not allowed to spend our weekends for ourselves, that used to be very difficult to handle. Because after 5 days of work, right, you do expect that on Saturdays and Sundays you will be kind of taking a break, going out with your friends. So that is one thing. And this passive aggression is pretty common, which you can see people expressing via cribbing or gossiping and all those kind of things. So that's one thing. Then what happens is, when you become slightly senior, right, and if this kind of very long working hours come, you are able to manage, but only for a very short period of time. So for my own experience, again, when I was working in one of the companies where we were developing a lot of cutting edge technologies, we were doing a lot of algorithms. For first few months it was fine. There again I ended up working like very late hours, more than Infosys. But what I also remember is, like, it used to be very challenging and exciting, because we were always working on algorithms and technologies. But in spite of all that, what happens is, you do start questioning the working hours, right, because you are not able to give. Now this time when I was working, right, I was already married and my wife was expecting. So what happens is, when these kind of challenges are there, right, where one person is expecting you to be at home to take care of your, all the relationship related expectations are there, and at other time at office also similar kind of pressure is there. This can create a lot of immense pressure. And what happens is, when you are working under such kind of pressure, right, you can kind of start burning out more easily, because there is always a sense of conflict. Your boss, your manager always expects you to be at in the office most of the time, and at the same time there are expectations from home also that you should be present there, because you have to take care of a lot of things. These things get more compounded in cities like Bangalore, or kind of those cities where people come from other states, and they live in a nuclear family where they don't have any other family support generally. So what happens is, like, generally husband wife, they are kind of taking care of lots of responsibilities, and whether it is related to shopping, whether it's related to groceries, whether it's related to their professional work. So balancing all those things without any personal time is very difficult. So it's not just about recreation or entertainment that you need time, you also need time to plan a lot of things. So if you have some, for example, what happens is, like, if you want to go to bank and get some work done, the banks are closed on weekends, right? So you have to manage that work on weekdays only, and it becomes very difficult to get a leave on, from the work if there are tight deadlines. So in my case, where I mentioned, right, the startup where I was working, we were working till 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning many days, and asking for leave was very difficult. So this just creates a lot of pressure actually, and in spite of all the excitement to work, a portion of your thinking is always about your family, about your things that you admire, you love, you respect, right? You can't let those things also go just because of your professional growth. And apart from that, what else happens is like, as I said, when there is only work pressure, you can manage. When you're working late hours also, you can manage if you're healthy, if you don't have any issues. But when multiple things happen at the same time, then it becomes very difficult to manage. So for example, taking a recent example, like what happened is during COVID times, there was a lot of stress, right? Because you can't touch anything, you want to maintain distance, and you have to buy groceries, you have to clean them, and there is no help also because of the COVID, as you guys might already be aware. So when there is work pressure, at the same time there is a mental stress because of COVID, and you are doing a lot of extra work which you were not doing initially, the total amount of work that happens becomes too much, and that can also create a lot of pressure. It can be a lot of stress, it can be very stressful basically. So at these times, these extra work hours can be very dangerous. Similarly, if you are kind of entering into middle age, or you are already let's say around 50, and you have health issues, right, like diabetes and blood pressure, and if you are expected to work such late hours at those times, this can also be a major health issue. Now, why do these things happen, and these things actually avoidable? So let me discuss that aspect also, and because we don't want this discussion to be one-sided. First of all, what happens is when you are joining company, right, it's not always very kind of a clear that how much work pressure you are going to get. But many times nowadays, particularly, some companies openly kind of tell like what kind of work pressure they expect. So, and it's not uncommon that these kind of discussions also happen. They are mentioned in the job description itself that you are expected to work late hours, or a lot of pressure will be there. So if you are not comfortable with such kind of jobs, probably it's good idea to read the job description carefully, how much workload is expected out of you. Also, it's a good idea to discuss with HR or the managers in the preliminary interview rounds that what is the expectation from this role, and kind of do a strong discussion around them. If you are ready to take higher workload, then it's a good idea to kind of also get a remuneration for that extra work that you will be doing. So you kind of at least you will feel compensated, even if exhausted. And also, you should avoid those companies if you don't want to kind of take those extra working hours, or you don't want to kind of work till late hours. So it's a good idea to do those discussions during your interview process. What else can you do apart from that? What else you can do is you can actually discuss in the company when you're working with your HR and with your managers, like the workload that you're undergoing is tiring you a lot. You will need some advice like how to deal with it. And if the environment is positive, where your managers care for you, they will give you some advices like how you can kind of delegate some work to others, or you can divide the work. Maybe that will help you in kind of reducing the working hours. Apart from that, what I also feel is like companies, right, which expect you to work more, it should be sufficiently kind of compensated in your salaries and all. Also, they should be very explicit about it that this is what their expectation is. In that case, I think the things become consensual, because the employee who is entering that company, right, he already knows that this is expected, and if he does not want to work there, he has this choice to not join those companies. I would like to mention that there are many companies, both startups and kind of MNCs, where work-life balance is respected. They do expect their employees to take sufficient leaves and not get kind of burned out. So So but in reality also what is happening is these days where startup culture is booming, has boomed actually, and lot of things needs to be done in very short amount of time. Many companies are following each other, and if one company kind of continuously talks about how they prefer workaholic people, other companies may tend to follow those kind of things. I would kind of this is where I get concerned a bit, because this culture of working till late hours may be fine for a very short amount of time, but it is not going to be healthy in the long run. And without kind of taking sufficient leave and without kind of disconnecting from the work, there are some other side effects also that are going to happen. Taking cue again from my own personal experiences, when I was working till 3 a.m. in the morning, right, for like around 3 months, I remember feeling dreamy most of the time. So you also can get into the state where you are almost hallucinating. You cannot differentiate between what happened and what actually did not happen. Yes, this happens. So you remain dreamy many times, and you can kind of start thinking whether this discussion actually did happen, or I'm just imagining that this discussion happened. These kind of things can also happen. So your mental health will actually get affected if you are working very long hours. And not just mental health and physical health go hand in hand. Both, I don't really believe that there is a very clear segregation between them. If you're not physically healthy, it will affect your mental health, and if you're not mentally healthy, it will affect your physical health. So both kind of go hand in hand. So mental health will get affected if you're working for long hours for a long period of time. Also, what happens is your relationships will get strained, with your spouse, with your parents, with your friends, because you will simply not have any time to spend with them. Inside your mind, what will happen is you will also keep feeling guilty about these things, that don't spending sufficient time with your family, with your wife, with your children if you have small children, and also that will kind of impact your work, the quality of your work. Another thing that will happen is like the creativity, right, will definitely get affected, because for our minds to remain creative, they need sufficient amount of rest. So if you are in a field where creativity is needed, and software is also one such field where you have to be creative a lot of times, okay, don't kind of think that software is a mechanical job. Writing software requires a lot of creative thinking, and that can also get affected if you don't get sufficient rest, if you don't feel rejuvenated. So creative thinking does get affected. And also what happens is like a lot of decisions that you will make, right, in such kind of pressure environments will always they will always be taken with the short-term goals in mind, because of continuous work pressure, you will never be able to think about long-term goals, because you are always trying to finish the task at hand, and this can become kind of the culture, and you may not think about long-term goals. And what will happen is the company may get some short-term benefits, but in the long term, like in 2 years or 3 years, right, long-term goals of the company may not be achieved, because people will lose this capacity to think or plan for long-term events and long-term deadlines. What else? Apart from this, what else can happen is like, because of the burnout, right, you can actually lose the motivation to work. Yes, this can also happen. So if you are working very long hours for a very long time, it can happen all of a sudden that you feel completely burned out, and for next couple of months will simply not be you will not have the energy or the motivation to work. So this can also be very disastrous. So there was this statement, right, that if you want to contribute to the country, you should work this many hours. I don't think that is true, because of the simple reason that you can only contribute to the country when you are healthy, okay, and if you are not healthy, then all your contributions will be very short term. So let's say for 2 years you are healthy, you have somehow managed your health in spite of high number of work hours. After 2 years, what will happen? Your health will be completely degraded, and your mental health will also be affected. So in such kind of situations, your contributions will definitely reduce, not only for the country or for the company, but also in your personal life. Your kind of involvement will be affected. And so it's like that story between the mare and the tortoise, between the hare and the tortoise, where slow and steady wins the race. This is applicable in every field, here also it is applicable. If you are slow and steady, you will win longer races, okay, you will win marathons. But if you are always trying to put everything just for the next project, right, you may win that project, but after that you may get affected. Few advices I would like to give for the companies also. First is be explicit that you are expecting this many working hours from the people. Second is like you have to understand that your short-term goals might be met, but your long-term goals will definitely be affected in such a culture, because people tend to become very, very short, short-sighted when they are continuously working. Creativity will definitely be affected, and if you are kind of into a organization where creativity is very important, don't kind of pressurize the people too much, because they will become mechanical. Apart from that, what else will happen is like definitely you should also consider the fact that most of the people, right, apart from work, they also have some extra work which is related to work, right? For example, if you, even though you are not coding or you're not developing, right, you might be thinking about how to kind of plan the next build or whatever work you're doing. So this also should be, in my mind, considered a part of work. So even if you're not on your system, on your laptop and programming, but if you're thinking how to plan your programs or plan your software build up or whatever industry you are in a way you are dedicated that time, that attention also to work. But companies have this tendency to kind of not be aware about that. They think that once the person has left the system, right, he's not working anymore. That's not true, right? Because a lot of thoughts keep coming apart from even when you are not sitting on your system. And also you have to understand that health is wealth. If you're not healthy, what's the point of all this kind of work, right? If you are continuously losing motivation to work, if you're not kind of feeling inspired in the morning to go to office, then this negativity will slowly spread into the entire company. People will start talking about this, so it can affect the culture of the company also, okay? And all the goodwill that a company generates, by kind of burning a lot of cash, giving a lot of perks to the employees, this one thing can kind of kill it all. And also it is not healthy for the employee and management relationship, which is very important, okay? If the employee doesn't feel that he's being taken care of, if he feels that the management is insensitive towards them, they will not be open to the management, which means communication will not happen both ways. Even if people have very good ideas, they may not feel like sharing. And also what will happen is like if even if you are aware, right, that there are certain issues in the system, they may not highlight it at the right time, because they will simply feel that they will have more work. Okay, I already have like 100 things to do. If I highlight that these particular issues exist in the system, then I will have 20 more things to be, which will get added to my work. So these kind of things can be very dangerous, because people in the company may be aware about serious issues of the or whatever domain that company is, and they may stop sharing all that information because they don't want more work. They simply want to kind of take rest and finish whatever is there on their plate, right? So this can also be harmful for the interest of the company. And apart from that, what else is there to discuss here? I know this video is getting lengthy, but let me just close down by saying that let us also not judge the companies that they are all insensitive. Sometimes things can be bad, because you see, if you are running a startup, the CEO is always under stress, right? He has to manage a lot of things, and money and time is always limited in those companies. So they have this, what you say, restriction, or they don't have the option to kind of give people a lot of time. Here I think the role of engineering managers for the middle level managers, right, becomes very important, because what happens is the people at the top, they don't know much about the entire team and what is the level of work, and they are simply under stress many times, and they start making policies around it, like people should work harder, people should work more hours. But the middle managers, right, like engineering managers or directors or VPs, they know the ground situation also. What they should do here is they should do a lot of prioritization, where they prioritize those kind of work that would actually lead to higher returns, and they should also kind of inform both management and the junior employees that this is what is happening. They should kind of keep the top management informed that we don't need to panic and kind of change policies. There are few things which can be done to kind of get a runway, and they should also keep the people at the lower level, I mean the employees, informed that management is making these policies because of certain reasons. It's not insensitive, it is just that it is the need of the hour. Okay, and also it should not be kind of made into system where people are continuously made to work harder, where it should not be like permanent system ever. Working long hours should always be a soft stand, in the sense that it should always be there should always be a plan that after 3 months of these long hours, this thing will go away and life will become normal. You should never try to project 70 hours or 90 of work life as normal, because that is not normal. It affects people. People are, in fact, I would say that many times people are already working around 70 hours. As I mentioned my own case, right, when I was a fresher, I was working maybe around 75 hours a week. So these expectations which people have, right, many times people are already fulfilling it. So you should be sensitive towards that and kind of give them little respite, and always any kind of organization will only grow when the employees will work not only with their skills but also with their wholeheartedly. They feel that this organization is their home, they belong to that organization. Insensitivity towards employees is not going to be taken well by any employee. Okay, and then they will become mechanical, then they will become like I'm getting this, let me pay my salary by this amount of work. This is the kind of relationship that will become, that will destroy the organizational culture, and obviously a company without good culture will eventually see the result in the output also. So that's all that I had to say, and I hope I have made some sense. And if you guys want to kind of discuss any particular aspect of this discussion with me, do let me know in comments. I will try to kind of reply to these comments also, and maybe we can discuss it in other upcoming videos also. And you guys do let me know what else you guys would like me to discuss, because there are a lot of topics on my mind, but I'm not sure which one to take first. And I would also like to kind of keep the videos shorter in the future, maybe more methodical, so that the videos don't become too long, and keep them concise. So but feedback, your feedback is very important to me. If you give me feedback, I will know what I'm doing right and what I'm kind of aware, which kind of topics are more important, and I will try to kind of put more effort in creating these videos so that they are actually helpful. Okay, thank you.